Recap. Alchemy Emperor of the Divine Dao, Chapter 1145, Chapter Mash. In the quiet yet suffocating stillness of the Black Tower, a confrontation unfolded like the clash of hidden blades beneath silk. Empress Luanxing stood tall, her bearing cold and unyielding, her voice laced with imperial arrogance as she responded, "Why do I have to explain to you?" Her words carried the weight of authority, as if the heavens themselves bent to her will, but Ling Han merely raised his hand. The crisp, echoing sound of a slap shattered the tension like thunder splitting the sky. He withdrew his hand calmly, as though nothing remarkable had happened, and said with a faintly teasing yet warning tone, "It seems like you still don't understand the situation you're in." The strike sent a ripple of sensation coursing through her entire body. A strange, indescribable heat surged within her, intensifying like a blazing inferno threatening to consume her from the inside. That mysterious energy churned wildly, as though it would burst forth at any moment. For the first time, hesitation flickered within her. She did not dare continue provoking him. If the sensation spiraled further out of control, if she truly lost herself to it, then this strange, humiliating state might repeat itself again and again in the future. Suppressing the turmoil within, she steadied her voice and began to explain. "When this body reaches the heavenly body tier, my willpower will gradually awaken and merge with her," she said, her tone regaining some composure. "The secret arts of the Nine Snake Tribe function in this manner. If I am at the Mountain River tier, my 9 clones will awaken at the Mountain River tier. If I am at the Eternal River tier, they will awaken at the Eternal River tier as well." Ling Han paused, absorbing her words, before asking with a slight frown, "So, she doesn't know you exist at all?" "No," Empress Luanxing replied simply, "she doesn't." A shadow crossed Ling Han's expression, and his voice lowered as he pressed further. "Then, once your willpower fully awakens, she'll disappear completely?" The Empress did not hesitate. "The personalities of the 9 clones all originate from me," she said, her tone softening slightly, almost as if offering reassurance. "Each one represents a fragment of my being. Moreover, once I reach the Eternal River tier, I will be able to separate these 9 clones from myself once again." Only then did Ling Han's tense expression ease. After all, he had come to quite like the naive and carefree Ninth King. The thought of her vanishing entirely had left an unpleasant feeling in his heart. Yet as one worry faded, another thought abruptly surfaced in his mind. His expression turned peculiar. Empress Luanxing narrowed her eyes slightly. "What's wrong?" Ling Han hesitated, then spoke with a tone that was both serious and utterly shameless. "So, if I marry you, wouldn't I get 9 wives for free? Heavens! How am I supposed to satisfy all 10 of you at once?" For a heartbeat, silence fell. Then, "Pervert!" Her face flushed with fury, and in a burst of power she struck him, sending his body flying through the air like a leaf caught in a gale. Of course, Ling Han had allowed it. Within the domain of the Black Tower, her strength was nothing before him. Yet he knew well that teasing her endlessly would come at a cost once they stepped outside. Better to let her vent her anger here than suffer her wrath later. Rolling to his feet, he ran back with a grin and began again. "Say, wife." "Who is your wife?" she snapped, her brows knitting in irritation. Though she had given him an opportunity, he had yet to earn the right for her to willingly accept such a title. Ling Han chuckled, unfazed. "Then what should I call you, darling? Love?" She stared at him, momentarily speechless. This man, whom she had once believed to be steady and composed, revealed himself to be utterly frivolous. For a fleeting moment she even questioned whether her earlier decision had been a mistake. Yet she did not take it back. "Call me Empress," she said, emphasizing every word. Ling Han nodded obediently. "All right." Though in his heart, he silently added, "One day, you will call me Lord Husband." Clearing his throat, he tried again. "That, Empress." She frowned slightly. "There are only the 2 of us here. Is there a need to address me like that?" Ling Han sighed dramatically. "You're not cute at all." Then, turning serious, he asked, "What exactly are these ancient divine tribes? They sound extraordinary." "I know about this," a voice suddenly interjected. The glowing orb that was Notionless Saint flickered with renewed vigor. He had been ignored for far too long, and his pride as a saint could not tolerate such neglect. Was his time not precious? Did they not realize the rare opportunity they had to learn from him? Empress Luanxing glanced at the orb of light. With such an all-knowing presence here, there were secrets she could no longer conceal. So she spoke first. The ancient divine tribes are a collection of powerful yet sparsely populated clans, she explained. They originated in ancient times, and every member possesses extraordinary abilities. Boy, Notionless Saint added, his tone carrying a hint of authority, you might also be from one of these ancient divine tribes. He had observed Ling Han's formidable physique and found it difficult to believe such strength could exist otherwise. Empress Luanxing nodded in agreement, but Ling Han shook his head. He came from an ordinary background. His power had been forged through the indestructible Heaven's Scroll, not through some ancient bloodline. Still, he could not deny the astonishing abilities of these tribes. Just the 9 snake tribe alone was enough to defy comprehension. 9 clones, 9 additional lives. It was a power bordering on the absurd. As thoughts swirled, Empress Luanxing suddenly spoke again. Time is nearly up. I must leave. Ling Han nodded after a moment's thought. I'll see you out. Her awareness of Hu Feiyun's experiences flowed only one way. When she took control, Hu Feiyun remained oblivious, just as in the Heavenly Sea Mystery Realm, where a beast slain by the Empress had been mistakenly credited to Ling Han. With a slight nod, the Empress followed him out of the Black Tower. Behind them, Notionless Saint dimmed, muttering gloomily, Am I nothing but empty air? Yet soon, voices approached. Senior, I have a question. Me too. Kan Yi and the others gathered around, their eagerness reigniting the saint's spirit. Instantly, he became animated, basking in their attention. Even a saint long gone needed acknowledgement, needed to feel his existence still held meaning. Meanwhile, outside the Black Tower, Empress Luanxing's body trembled faintly, her eyes closed, then opened again in the blink of an eye. But in that single instant, everything changed. The cold, domineering aura vanished, replaced by a soft, bewildered innocence. Huh? Why am I here? Hu Feiyun asked, biting her finger and tilting her head in confusion. Ling Han spoke calmly. Wait for me here. After she nodded obediently, he went to find Shui Yanyu. Bringing her back shortly after, Shui Yanyu glanced at Hu Feiyun with lingering fear. Why? Was her aura so terrifying just now? She whispered. I'll explain later, Ling Han replied. Then, smiling gently, he said to Hu Feiyun, Ninth King, I'll take you somewhere fun. Okay, she exclaimed, clapping excitedly, completely unaware of anything unusual. With his divine sense, Ling Han enveloped both women and brought them once more into the Black Tower. Before them stood the reincarnation tree. This is the reincarnation tree, Ling Han explained. From now on, come here every night to cultivate. Your progress will increase rapidly. Hu Feiyun's face immediately fell. I have to cultivate again? I hate it! It's tiring and boring. Ling Han couldn't help but reflect. This carefree, childish personality, this was a fragment Empress Luanxing had separated from herself, a side she no longer possessed. How would she change once all 9 fragments returned to her? The thought lingered. Don't complain, Ling Han said, gently patting her head. Be diligent in your cultivation. She pouted but did not resist his touch. At the side, Shui Yanyu stared in utter shock, her eyes nearly popping out. That was the 9th king! The Empress herself had declared that seeing the 9 kings was equivalent to seeing her, and yet Ling Han casually patted her head like a child. What she did not know was that he had done far more than that just moments ago. The winds of the Black Tower whispered softly, carrying with them the quiet rhythm of cultivation and the faint fragrance of spiritual blossoms. Within this secluded realm, after soothing Hu Feiyun and guiding her back into focused meditation, Ling Han led Shui Yanyu away from the others, into a more private corner where even the air seemed to hold its breath. The moment they were alone, he did not hesitate. Like a man who had endured a long winter finally stepping into spring, Ling Han drew Shui Yanyu into his arms and captured her lips with a fierce, longing kiss. 2 full years had passed since they last stood together. 2 years of distance, of yearning held in silence. Now, that longing erupted all at once. At first, Shui Yanyu struggled faintly, her hands pressing against his chest as if to resist. Yet that resistance melted as swiftly as snow under sunlight. Her strength drained away, her body softening, her limbs losing their will as she sank into his embrace. A delicate blush spread across her face. deepening into a rich crimson, and her eyes, once clear, now shimmered with a seductive haze. Don't, she murmured weakly, her voice trembling between refusal and surrender. But even as she spoke, her body betrayed her, leaning closer, clinging tighter. Ling Han's expression suddenly turned solemn, as if a grave realization had struck him. Wife, he declared with utmost seriousness, you have been poisoned. Shui Yanyu blinked, momentarily stunned. This poison, he continued with a straight face, is known as love. It is the most potent toxin in all the heavens and earth, and there is only one cure. I must sacrifice myself and sleep with you to draw it out. If not me, then who will save you? For a brief moment, silence hung in the air. Then Shui Yanyu nearly rolled her eyes. This man, clearly burning with desire, still had the audacity to cloak his intentions in such ridiculous righteousness. Shameless. Utterly shameless. Yet her thoughts were already in disarray, scattered like leaves in a storm. The warmth of his kiss, the closeness of his body, it clouded her mind, erasing logic, leaving only feeling behind. In her daze, she nodded without thinking. Only after a heartbeat did clarity attempt to return. This was not the place. But Ling Han did not give her time to recover. He stole another kiss, and then another, each one deeper than the last, until her thoughts dissolved completely. Her breathing quickened, her body grew weak, and the world narrowed to just him. At this moment, all she wanted was to be claimed. I love you, she whispered softly, her voice trembling like a fragile thread. I love you too, Ling Han replied, his tone low and steady. His hands moved with practiced ease, as though guided by instinct and desire. In an instant, the last barrier between them vanished, revealing her flawless body, smooth as jade, radiant as moonlight. His fingers traced across her skin, igniting a fire that spread through her entire being. Love me. Shui Yanyu breathed, her arms wrapping tightly around his neck, pulling him closer. For 2 long years, she had carried worry within her heart, even while believing in his safety. That worry, that longing, it now erupted, transforming into an overwhelming tide of desire, as if she wished to consume him entirely. Darling, Ling Han murmured, his lips finding hers once more. This time he would not stop at mere affection. This time he would make her truly his. Han, be gentle, she whispered, her voice barely audible, like a feather brushing against the wind. I will. And then, with no further restraint, he entered her. Time seemed to lose its meaning. When the storm of passion subsided, the two of them lay together amidst a sea of blooming flowers. Petals danced in the air, carried by a gentle breeze, settling around them like a quiet blessing from the heavens. Shui Yanyu rested in Ling Han's lap, her body relaxed, her expression filled with contentment. A faint smile curved her lips, soft and serene. Yet as Ling Han began to explain his entanglement with Empress Luanxing, that smile quickly turned mischievous. She reached out and pinched him without mercy. You bad man! So you were in such a hurry earlier because you want to marry Her Majesty, she accused, her tone filled with playful accusation. Ling Han immediately shook his head, his expression earnest. That was between us alone. It has nothing to do with anyone else. Wife, you are so enchanting, so irresistible. I've held back for so long already. Were you not worried I might fall ill from suppressing myself? You shameless pervert, Shui Yanyu stammered, her face instantly flushing red once more. Even though they had already crossed that final boundary, his teasing still left her utterly flustered. But that very expression, half embarrassed, half alluring, ignited something within Ling Han again. Shui Yanyu's eyes widened. They were pressed so closely together that she could feel the change in him immediately. Wife, Ling Han grinned, his eyes gleaming with mischief. It's time for round 2. Before she could react, he laughed and pressed her back into the flowers, beginning another fierce assault. Once, twice, thrice. Time stretched on, marked only by their intertwined breaths and the rising and falling tide of passion. For Shui Yanyu, this was her first experience of such intimacy, and she found herself unable to resist its pull. As for Ling Han, he was utterly captivated by her beauty, her responsiveness, her very presence. Together, they lost themselves, as if the world beyond this moment had ceased to exist. 3 full days passed before their storm finally came to rest. Only then did they leave the Black Tower. Outside, Hu Feiyun was already brimming with complaints. She had been cultivating beneath the reincarnation tree, where time flowed differently. one day outside equaling a full year within. She had endured 5 entire days of such cultivation, and boredom had nearly driven her mad. "I want to go out!" she shouted, her voice filled with grievance. Ling Han couldn't help but shake his head. Who would have imagined that the dignified Empress Luan Xing possessed such an innocent, almost silly side? If others were to witness this, what would they think of the mighty Empress? The mere thought made him eager to see more. After exiting the Black Tower, Xue Yanyu wasted no time. She immediately began moving out of her old residence. Naturally, she would now live with Ling Han. During the day, she would remain outside, cultivating normally, absorbing the spiritual energy of heaven and earth, strengthening her origin power. At night, she would return to the Black Tower, sitting beneath the reincarnation tree to comprehend the great Dao, accelerating her progress to its utmost limits. Ling Han was permitted 3 followers, yet he had only claimed 1 thus far. This left room for Xue Yanyu to stay within his residence without raising suspicion. As long as no one reported it, she could continue maintaining her identity as an ordinary disciple. Xue Yanyu devoted herself fully to cultivation. Ling Han, meanwhile, turned his focus toward alchemy. He needed wealth. His divine demon sword remained only a level 3 god tool. To elevate it further, to level 4, level 5, and beyond, he would require vast quantities of godly metal. The cost of such materials would be astronomical. Though he possessed a considerable number of true origin stones, it was still far from sufficient. At present, the highest grade pill he could refine was the mysterious Azure Pill. Each one could be sold for several thousand true origin stones. Fortunately, he had already planted its ingredients within the Black Tower. Soon, he would be able to harvest them, significantly reducing his expenses. Yet, Ling Han was not satisfied. He desired to refine even higher-level pills. After all, the time required to refine a batch of pills remained roughly the same. The higher the grade, the greater the profit. Moreover, he needed to balance alchemy with cultivation. Choosing the right pill to refine was critical. Unfortunately, he lacked higher-level pill recipes. Thus, for now, he could only continue producing the mysterious Azure Pill. He couldn't help but feel a trace of regret. If only he had asked Empress Luan Xing earlier to order the Alchemy Institution to provide him with copies of their recipes. He could have studied them at his leisure, but at that time, their relationship had not reached such a level. Still, it did not matter. Sooner or later, he would return to the joint peace planet. Knock, knock, knock. A sound echoed from the door. Fanru went to answer it, returning shortly after with a letter in hand. Young Master Han, an invitation. Ling Han accepted it and skimmed through its contents. Several seed-level prodigies were organizing a gathering. A meeting for tea and discussion of Dao. It would take place the following afternoon, and all seed-level prodigies at the Mountain River Tier were invited. Though they had all entered the sect long ago, they had yet to formally gather. Ling Han smiled faintly. The timing is quite perfect. Could it be they arranged this just for me? After all, he had destroyed Gan Xian's god tool and claimed its remnants. That woman would not let such a matter rest. 6 individuals who have formed 5 mountains and rivers. This will be a fine chance to measure their strength. The next day, Ling Han set out alone, walking calmly toward White Frost Peak. The peak towered high into the heavens, yet such height posed no challenge for cultivators of their level. Though Ling Han moved at a leisurely pace, he still reached the summit within an hour. At the entrance, 2 young men stood guard. Their auras were formidable, yet they were merely gatekeepers. They were likely followers of some prodigy, and if even followers possessed such strength, one could only imagine the power of the masters they served. Invitation, please, one of them said. Ling Han handed it over. The young man glanced at it, and his expression immediately changed, becoming respectful. Ah, young Master Han, please come in. Inside, the peak was scattered with stones of varying shapes and sizes, serving as seats. Most were already occupied. Ling Han's gaze swept across the gathering. He spotted familiar faces. Xiao Sisi, Su Jing, Duan, Quan Lichuan, and then, his eyes paused. The Rain Emperor, Ding Ping. Neither recognized him. To them, he was merely another unfamiliar face. They glanced briefly before turning away. Uninterested, more arrivals soon followed. Xiao Wei stepped in. Then came Hu Feiyun, her usual carefree and slightly foolish demeanor unchanged, and finally, Gan Xian. Ganxing. The moment she arrived, her eyes locked to Ling Han. A chilling aura surged from her body, cold and filled with killing intent, like frost spreading across a frozen battlefield. The storm was about to begin.